is up, everyone? Welcome to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 397. Thank you so much for your patience. Just working on some tech stuff behind the scenes. We have three guests on tonight's show. We're very, very excited to welcome all three of them. We have Jenny Jurek, Kathleen Egan, and Krissy Moehl. We're going to be chatting with the three of them all about their Arizona Trail thru-hike adventure. A lot of stories, I'm sure, to be told. I believe this is also the first time the three of them have been in the same conversation, like not the same place because they're coming us from different locations, but the same conversation since their Arizona Trail adventure. We're excited to welcome them onto the show. Sit back, relax, everyone. Ginger Runner Live begins now. Ginger Runner. Yay! What is up, everyone? Welcome to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 397. Thank you for taking some time out of your busy Tuesdays to spend a little bit of it with us. Hi, I'm your host, Ethan.
Hi, everyone. Kim Jashima Newberry.
Every day now, I want to do something different. Is that okay?
Fine by me.
Perfect. Welcome to the show, everyone. We're very, very excited about tonight's episode because we have three guests on the show. They've been very patient waiting behind the scenes as I sort of sort some technical stuff there at the beginning of the show. But we get to chat with three amazing adventurers, Jenny Jurek, Kathleen Egan, and Krissy Moehl on tonight's show, all about their recent adventure on the Arizona Trail, their thru-hike, and it's full of stories and adventure. I'm super curious how the adventure came about, how these three know each other. They're very seasoned adventurers. Many of them, or all of them, are ultra runners and adventurers and thru-hikers, but coming together is such a cool bond of friendship. And I'm just excited to kind of hear what happened out on the Arizona Trail. As I mentioned, I'm Ethan. Kim, hi. How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
And Sean in the chat room mentions, yeah, I imagine all three guests are in different locations. Tech side gets a little complicated.
A little bit. We're using some new software, so it's just getting the bugs ironed out and stuff like that. We're going to hold on tight as this is a live show, so we hope everything's like the computer doesn't blow up or anything like that. But we are quite excited to welcome these guests on. Before we do, of course, we have some individuals that we like to thank at the top of every Ginger Runner Live episode. It's because of them and the GR crew that we're able to do these weekly live shows, in addition to our daily live streams, all of our reviews, all of our films, everything. It is because of the GR crew. If you would like to join the GR crew, it's very easy. Head on over to patreon.com/thegingerrunner. All tiers get access to a really fun after show. We're doing one tonight with our three guests, and you'll get access to archive after shows, current after shows, future after shows, and it helps us do everything here behind the scenes. So we really appreciate our GR crew. Two individuals in particular at the top tier we like to thank by name. Rick Bjarnason. Rick Bjarnason is a British Columbian trail runner, ultra runner. He runs a company called cheekymonkeymedia.ca. They're a web design company. We're very, very thankful for Rick and his entire team. And of course, Brian Sands. Brian Sands has been a longtime supporter, just an amazing human being. Ran his first marathon at the age of 50, lost 100 pounds in his journey. But he's been a longtime supporter and incredible member of the GR crew. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce, I think, the first time we've had three guests on the show at the same time in quite some time.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. There are some technical things that we have to do behind the scenes. Regardless, very excited to welcome to the show Jenny Jurek, Kathleen Egan, and Krissy Moehl.
Yay!
Hi.
First of all, how is everyone's legs feeling? How is everyone recovering from the multi-day, hundreds of miles of adventure on the Arizona Trail?
Well, this is the hard part. Who goes first?
Well, Krissy, you go first. But I just want to say we didn't do a thru hike technically. We did a section hike because thru hike is like start to finish, southern terminus to northern terminus.
Yes.
And that's 800 miles. So we did a section, but we do plan on continuing. But it's kind of not as cool. Section hikers aren't as cool as thru hikers, but still, like, the same, same sentiment, same vibes.
I figured you were going to go back to finish it because I know that this is one of those sort of ongoing adventures.
Yes.
But Jenny, let's start there actually with the idea of approaching the Arizona Trail in sections and how you were all able to align the schedules, everything like that. So let's sort of talk about how you three came together, maybe your past, how you all know each other, and how it came to be that the Arizona Trail was the topic. We'll start with you, Jenny.
Oh, Okay. I was visiting my mom who was in the hospital actually in the Bay Area in I think January, and just talking to Chrissy on the phone, just like, I never get to go on any trips, and then my only trips are like sad trips. But then she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna section hike the Arizona Trail from Tucson to Phoenix," I think is what she said. And I was like, "Oh, when? Sign me up." Just because I was like long overdue for like a personal trip. I literally haven't been away from my kids for more than 4 days, like ever.
Mhm.
And I just, it sounded awesome. So I really invited myself because she's like, "I'm going with Kathleen and some other people are going to meet us." And I was like, "Sign me up. I'm in. I'm in." And then it kind of evolved from there. It went from Tucson to Phoenix to mile zero at the Mexico border to mile 200. But actually, I don't even know how Chrissy and Kathleen had originally formed the plan.
There we go.
Yeah, let's start there. Krissy,
want me to-
Kathleen, yeah, take over.
So last summer, my husband and I did the Pacific Northwest Trail, and we thru-hiked that. And Krissy was our main person at home base who mailed our resupplies and handled our communication, helped us with anything, any logistics, broken poles, all the things that happen during thru-hikes. And she also met up with us in Montana and again in the Olympic National Park. And I think during that time, we just had so much fun together. And we had done some shorter fast packing trips, but really, it was during that time she had just got her new Gossamer backpack and she was breaking that in, and she was kind of expressing an interest in doing more of the longer through hiking type of things. And I said, well, let's do one together. And so at that point, based on time of year and length of trail, I came to the Arizona Trail. And at the time, I also had met a lot of people on the Pacific Northwest Trail that were raving about the AZT. And so Krissy and I just kept that in mind. And then later, really when Jenny joined in, we just bought tickets and made it happen. So it's pretty much how it started.
And there was one more piece when we had like a bunch of fun things line up where we ended up in Scotland together last October and hiked the West Highland Way, which is a 100-mile trail I hiked with Kathleen and her husband, John. And we just noticed like how Kathleen and I paced well together, and we were just curious if we could translate this to a different trail. And then the other thing I noticed on that part was we had initially thought we would do a whole trail, like true through hike, like Jenny was explaining the difference. But I realized I didn't want to be away that long. Like I really want to go like in sections. I like the idea of like seeing a section, coming back to life. What John and Kathleen, what was it, 69 days that it took you guys to do the 1,200 miles of the PNT? I didn't have that in me yet. I thought section sounded great.
Well, we talk about this with ultra running too, and other running distances and stuff on this show, is like you don't have to go run a 100-miler to consider yourself an ultra runner, right? You can run a 50K, you can do these different distances. And I love the idea that a through hike doesn't have to be a 1,500-mile trek end to end. Yes, of course. I think that, Jenny, by your definition, I think through hike has to refer to the entire through hike versus section hike. But I like the idea of sort of being able to approach these huge undertakings in any way that you want. And if you want to do a section hike from like the most prettiest section of whatever trail or whatever, you can do that. And I think that's kind of a cool way to approach this sort of thing.
I totally agree. And Scott and I section hiked the first 120 miles of PCT, and then a year later we did the next 100 miles. And it's just one of those things he's always wanted to do. And if you don't have like 3 months to just piece out of your life, you can just squeeze it in whenever you can, like 5 days here, 5 days there. And so we're going for the slowest known time on the PCT, but it's still like one day where, piece by piece, we'll put it together. But I think with Kathleen and Krissy and I, we want to do it in the fall. We want to go back in the fall and then spring and then in the fall again. So kind of keep it a little bit closer together.
Yeah. Scout in the chat, You want to read that?
I have a couple comments in the chat
Great
here.
comments.
First comment from Susanna. Susanna says, I thru-hiked the AZT last spring and it was amazing. Loved following your journey and reliving it vicariously. In my opinion, section hikers are just as cool as thru-hikers. And there's also a comment from Scout in the chat room as well. Scout says, section hiking is an incredible way for people who can't afford the time or cost of a full-on thru-hike. I love that more peeps are finding ways to get out there and piece it together.
I think we'll talk about the like back 100 miles of this here in a bit, but I do want to talk about the preparation. You're all from a background of either through hiking, big adventure, ultra running. You know how to tackle large mileages. How did you prepare particularly for this? You all have Pacific Northwest roots. Jenny, obviously Colorado, but I know that you have familiarity with the Pacific Northwest. The Arizona Trail is a completely different beast. You're dealing with heat, desert, sand, all sorts of creatures, nightlife. Everything's a little bit different on the AZT versus the PCT. So how did you prepare for it? And how did you prepare logistics? So traveling, caches, things like that. Krissy, do you want to start there?
Oh, that's actually perfect because those two did all the planning.
You were busy doing the things.
Yeah.
I did make the plane tickets happen. Like the night I closed on my house, I was on the phone with Kathleen saying, if we don't buy tickets tonight, this is not happening. And so I bought a ticket to Phoenix and she said, actually, we need to fly into Tucson. So I canceled that one, bought a ticket to Tucson. She matched it. Jenny matched it coming in. And then I was like, all right, I got to move into my house, put on Chucking It 50K and release my book. You girls, we like connected on this text stream and they can go into the details of logistics, but I just thought I was so funny. But there would be these like long texts of like shorts, sports bras, water filters, battery packs, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, sounds good. And then no, thanks. So all this planning was happening in the background and I was like noting it, like it was like happening, but I just was like interjecting when they were like, if they had a specific question for me. Otherwise, I just made a list of all the stuff they said to bring. And then once I got past Chucking It, then I could like pack and plan and that kind of stuff. So these guys just Facebook groups to books and all that.
Yeah. So how did that? I'm curious what the lists look like. Like, are we talking packing light? Are we sending huge caches? Are you carrying 100-pound packs? Like, how did you come up with the list, Jenny?
Oh, okay. Well, I know Kathleen. Do you want to go first? Or?
Yeah, Kathleen, do you want? Yeah,
You go first.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, thankfully, my husband is like a super nerd of all things National Scenic Trail. So he already had the books, the maps, like that. Like as soon as I mentioned it, he's like downloading all this stuff for me, and then I just look at the blogs and stuff because my biggest fear was the carries. Like, and me and Kathleen went back and forth because the desert, so much water. Like, no, we had to carry so much water. It's not like the Northwest. So I really didn't want to do like a huge anything more than a 5-day food carry would be too much for me. So Kathleen and I really like looked at the towns and then, friends or something where we could like have our mail drops. And so it really worked out perfectly where we sent the food and thankfully this trail is more and more popular. So there's tons of resources, tons. And then Kathleen is also very just experienced at this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So she was kind of a resource mentor for this sort of stuff.
Yeah, Kathleen, let's start there because you have a lot of experience in this. You've done some incredibly long adventures around the Pacific Northwest. I mean, around the world. Yeah, to be totally frank. How did you determine what needed to be brought on this adventure? What are the elements that you're going to encounter? What are the decisions that you're making from a strategic and planning standpoint?
I think with this particular one, because it's desert, the biggest concern was water. And so that was something that we were all keeping our eyes on. There's a Facebook group called Class of Arizona Trail Alumni or something, Class of 2022. And that is a great resource because it has people who are currently on trail dropping in information. It has trail angels talking about where they're caching. There's also an app called Far Out, which has a lot of the through hiking trails for a small fee. You can buy the coordinates, and then you can look at comments and at different waypoints. That was really helpful. And so mostly the gear is similar. So I've done 7 through hikes. This is the first time I actually section hike one, which is a lot of fun. So I'm going to say yes to the section hikes because it really was fun, and I've done a lot of silver linings on that. But because it was a shorter trip, we did it in 9.5 days. It was easier to plan, and also it's not so remote. At least considering what I've done in the past, like in the Great Himalaya Trail hike route in Nepal, where you have these huge stretches without any villages or roads. This one here, every 3 days, we had access to a town that had resupply. So we only really needed to mail two boxes, and we mailed one of those in Patagonia, which was after day 3. And then again, 3 days later, we mailed one at our friend's house in Vail. And then we finished roughly 3 days after that. So it's actually pretty easy to do our planning and a lot of fun. The biggest concern was water, and that's something that we were always on top of. We had a 5-liter carry and capacity, and then at times we carried 2 or 3 liters at a time. But we got pretty lucky, I'd say. It was not the driest year, so we didn't really have any problems with water.
Well, we also had awesome trail angels. I had some coaching clients jump in and bring us water. Jenny had some friends meet us for a big morale boost one night. Those were like those moments. Oh, the best part was the creative thing. I think Kathleen came up with it, where you carry a dirty. So we were like pulling water out of this really gross cow pond, and it's like leaving an oil slick on your bottle in your hand. And you're like, I have to drink. So rather than like filter it right there, we just carried it for the just in case. And so then when we get ahead and there was hopefully a water cache, if it hadn't been there, then we could have filtered that. But we didn't waste the time filtering it. We didn't wreck our filtering it. And we never had to drink from a cow pond. We always got to dump it. It worked awesome.
I like seeing some of the pictures and videos and stuff and Instagram stories that you all shared. As a viewer and sort of like, cheerleader, like hoping you're crushing it every day and you're having a good experience and stuff. Of course, I'm seeing like, oh my God, the water that they're trying to filter or the sources is questionable at best. Were there other worries about that? Like, were you always sort of playing, let's hope this next section has it? Or were you confident that you would encounter something each day? Like, was there a risk each day that you'd get out there and you'd be dry? Like, there'd be no source?
That's where that Far Out app really comes in helpful, because it's got all the notes ahead from other hikers. So Kathleen's used that a bunch. So she was really good at like teaching us how to like read ahead and make sure the date, like, I'd be like, there's one. She's like, yeah, but that was from March 25th. It's April 8th. Maybe it's not as good. So that to me was like a nice security of the shared trail magic amongst hikers.
I love it. Jean-Yves has a great question here in the chat that I think is relevant to what I was going to talk about as well.
Yeah, Jean-Yves asked, was it just hiking or was there any running involved as well?
Krissy, you can answer that one with the sprints.
I totally.
Yeah, it counts.
Well, Ethan and Kim and I are all coached by David Roach, and he mentioned just doing your 30-second sprints like 4 or 5 times while I was out there. So every other day I shot to do 4 to 6 by 30 seconds. And Jenny joined us for a couple one day. Was motivated by those. So we would figure out ways to drop our packs and just do a couple of, warm up, like change the running form or change from walking to running form, and then try and do a couple of those. But that was it. It was we did not.
No, we did drop our packs a couple times to tag summits, and so then we kind of did some running. So when we went up Miller Peak, which was the first climb, like straight out of Mexico, and then the second one was Mica Peak. Or Mica Mountain? Mica Mountain. And so there's some extra side, bonus mileage that we did just to tag summits.
And then in Patagonia, we had to get back
Oh
to
yeah, we ran a little bit.
we were really strict about continuous footsteps, which like the pack can move whatever, but the people have to do the whole trail. So no yellow blazing, no getting in a car to skip miles or whatever. But we'd stopped at this one camp, but then this trail ranger took us into town and put us up. We had this amazing experience in Patagonia. But then at the end of the night, we're like, oh shoot, we have to get back to where we stopped hiking yesterday. So we caught a ride back and then ran back into town and then picked up our packs and
And it felt so good to run, to lose, even though our legs were tired, just to lose the weight of the pack. You just feel like you're like light and skipping. It's amazing.
Like I know that you're all three familiar with probably heavy packs, having to backpack in for adventures, or you've all done some pretty amazing routes and stuff like that. In this case, how did you decide to approach it? We're hiking. We might do some little running adventures here and there, but it sounds like you took each day as a hike, a specific set of miles, versus with the experience that you all three have as ultra runners. Why not approach it from the perspective of, yeah, let's do a 50K a day, or whatever might seem manageable on a day-to-day basis? What was sort of the reasoning behind stick to hiking, keep it whatever pace, and not doing the big running mileages?
somebody else said that.
I mean, I think it's just because carrying a pack like carrying all everything you need to survive, I guess,
Yeah.
is just a lot different than like doing a big run adventure. And so we had 4 days of food in our pack and stuff. So I think running just really wasn't on our minds because it just wasn't really possible. I mean, I'm sure these guys could have. And so my whole strategy going into this was like super ultra light so I could keep up with them. Because I'm a ski mom all winter. Like I don't do much. And then these guys are like so experienced and like total beasts. So my pack was really light to keep up with these guys. But even still, I wouldn't want to run in it. And we did big days. We did like 28 miles a couple of days, and so it was close to 50K days even just walking. And it was like gentler on the body and nobody's getting injured on the trail ish, or TBD.
Yeah, you bring that up, and I think if it's okay with you, Krissy, maybe chatting a bit about it. You might notice, live viewers, that Krissy is standing while she's doing this interview. Krissy, do you want to let us know what's going on? I don't want to put you in pain.
Oh, yeah, I guess I am still I had an interview earlier today with Lily Trotters, and I am still pretty close to the surface on emotion on it. But yeah, I'm dealing with a lot of lower back pain.
Okay. I'm sympathize completely because we are very familiar with back pain and how debilitating it can be. We don't have to talk too much about it. I just really appreciate you just even mentioning it. So we don't want you to sit. We don't want you to bend over. I promise you those games that we played on the show in the past we're not doing tonight. Don't worry. No scavenger hunts or anything like that.
I guess I'm still in that like unknown phase. Like I need to get imaging, trying to rule stuff out. And that's just scary until you know what you're dealing with.
100%.
The waiting game. Yeah.
We know it's the worst. And of course, Krissy, just on a friend level, anything you need, please don't hesitate to ask. We live so close that we want to help in any way. But it does bring up an additional sort of topic of conversation in regards to the challenges faced on the trail, because I know that when you're dealing with longer distances like this, in this type of heat, this type of terrain and climate, you can run into all sorts of things, whether it's dehydration. I know that allergies. I'm like, I can only scratch the surface of what I imagined you encountered out there, Jenny. But let's talk about some of the challenges that were faced out there. Jenny, do you want to start us off?
Okay. Well, first of all, Krissy, I didn't want to like joke about, carrying a heavy pack and stuff, but it is no joke. And there's lots of different challenges, and everything that I read preparing, there's a lot of people not making light of it, but also just like, hey, this is a serious, people get evacuated, rescued like all the time, even the first section. So our shuttle driver was just like, you guys, I've personally evacuated 6 people from the first section myself. And so, there are a lot of things, but us being experienced mountain trail people, we weren't super worried about it, but did prepare for lots of different things to happen. But I really didn't expect my allergies to be that bad. But then everybody I talked to was like, they had a ton of rain, and then just the wind every day was super windy too, and it was really out of control. And I went no stove, no tent, no sleep. That was like my and next time I'm gonna bring a little tent, but I wanted to like see how ultralight I could be and just like
Right.
really connect with nature and just be all out there. And it was a little too close to nature. A little shield would have been better. But so I feel like no matter how prepared we were, there was still other things. And like one time, even though Kathleen has that app, we did get to a place where we expected water because it hadn't been up to something, and then there was like no water, so we had to hike up out of the way and find a different water source. But there's always things that you have to kind of be ready for and be smart about.
Yeah, it sounds.
The other thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Kathleen.
Oh, I just want to say, yes, water was one of the things, one of the challenges. Another thing was something unique about the AZT is the wide range in temperatures. So during the daytime, it can be 95 and plus, and then in the evening, it dropped down to 30 degrees. So just preparing for layers, especially trying to keep it lightweight, but also staying safe and having all the supplies for the range and temperatures.
It sounds, I mean, as much as anyone can prepare, clearly the three of you are very well prepared and experienced, that there's always wild cards. I can't imagine you were able to predict ahead of time, like, oh, allergies are going to be the reason that I have to like think about, maybe I need to get out of this actual air. I can't imagine back pain is part of the equation of like, I run all these ultras, I carry packs all the time. Like, how is that going to contribute? And the temperature. I mean, the desert gets freezing at night and really hot during the day. And depending on how much exposure to the sun and everything like that can lead to some really, really rough days. So what ended up happening in the last, let's say 50 miles or so, because how long was this adventure for you? So the section was what, about 500 miles?
202.
Oh,
302.
Bring it
Yeah,
down.
yeah. 5,000 miles? Is that
200.
202? So 202 miles. Let's just make up numbers. Might as well just make them up at this point. 202 miles. That was the scheduled duration, or was that like we're calling an audible at one point to make it the 202 section?
That was the plan originally.
That
was the plan.
Yeah.
And so the last 50 or so, was it like, let's just get to 202, or was everyone sort of like, this is a rough go, let's just get to where we can get? Or how did that sort of play out for each of you?
On trail, the back issue didn't start until a week after I got home. So I
Really?
felt really, really great on trail. We motored along. We had a great rhythm, I felt like, where we would meet up at all, or wait up at all water stops or passes or trail crossings. So we got a lot of social time, but we also got a lot of quiet time. I think, Jenny, you've got you had the on trail experience where things changed for you. Just, I mean, not sleeping at night with your sinuses being all plugged up. So you made a call.
Yeah. So I was, we were all going to go do the first 200 miles, but then every night I thought I had a sinus infection. I'm like, what's going on? And I just wasn't sleeping at night unless we were in town, like at a house where I could like shower and really wash my face and kind of be out of the wind. So the nights that we were, which was like every night, I really couldn't sleep. And so but during the day it was fine because the adrenaline, like moving around, I could breathe fine. But as soon as I lay down, I couldn't sleep, and then it'd be freezing cold. Um, and I was in, I was in a bivy sack. Like, I just was like not in the bivy sack. It was just like an open mesh thing, so like wind was constantly blowing in my face all night. So I had to at at my 164. What was like the last road before we went into another like kind of remote wilderness section, and I knew that I could at least like call a friend in Tucson to extract me. So I did make the call to like, I was like, I can't go another night without sleeping and freezing my tail off because it was another cold night. So I feel that, I feel bad because I probably could have, but actually I don't feel that bad because it was freezing and I was miserable. And so I missed out on the last 36 miles, and I hope to get to do those before we meet up again.
That would be cool.
I am, you talk about this adventure and the challenges. I also can only imagine that there's a lot of benefits that have come as a result of this. The three of you friends for a long time being able to travel together. Let's talk about some of the positive things that you've taken from this experience. Kathleen, let's start with you.
Well, I mean, anytime I'm doing a hike like this, one of the highlights is the characters you meet on the trail. And that includes the trail angels, the random magic, which we got a lot of that. I mean, there was one time where I was craving a chocolate croissant, and sure enough, I'm not kidding, like, true story, like a few minutes later, this lady, it's her birthday, and she pulls out chocolate croissants, and just bubbly water appeared. And then the through hikers or section hikers, just people out on the trail with us, are just phenomenal. They remind me a lot of the ultra runners, like just kindred spirits. It covers the gamut of personalities and backgrounds and ages, and I love it. Like, I could live out there and unplug and just do that for the rest of my life. It is so much fun. So that's one of the ththings that was definitely a highlight for me that I'm taking away from it. Is I love that lifestyle. I love the people we meet out there. It just is where I feel the most alive, and I love it.
What about you, Jenny?
I mean, same sentiments and stuff. And like, I've known Krissy for like 20 years, Kathleen for 10 years, and we always pick up where we left off. It never feels like lost time, but spending that much time together with them, like moving, connecting the dots and like connecting mountain ranges, was really special. And I feel more connected to them than I ever have, and kind of closer than most people. It's similar to like when you're running an ultra and you're like suffering through a section with a couple other runners, you all feel like a sisterhood. But this was, I guess amplified and multiplied because we were out there for so long in all these different conditions. And I am surprised that we did, we made it. We stuck together for 164 miles is pretty good. And oftentimes we were spread out. Like, we didn't talk. We'd be like, okay, now's the time to like put in a book or music and just like not talk for a while. But I could always see them, and I do just feel really connected. And I felt like the people that we met were so awesome, because I think with all the national scenic trails, all the trail towns and the trail angels and the through hikers, everybody does want to help everybody succeed. That's like their mission, and it feels so good and like life affirming that people want to help. And it just was like, oh, this is truly what life and community is about.
I love it. And Krissy, what about you?
I'll just pile on because I could repeat all of those things. I would just say that it also then retract more, like even the planning stage leading up to, like, I made the jokes about how they were these long texts and I was the sounds good, but just like all of that planning ahead of time. I remember one night Jenny texted me and she's like, so I'm going to wear the 4-inch Patagonia shorts in this color. Let's make sure we're not twinning. And she's like, what are you? I was like, I haven't even unpacked I'm like literally moving into my house. And I was just saying, like, I just haven't unpacked that bag yet. I don't know what shorts I have available. She's like, oh, right. You have a couple things going on. Just like the funny, like that happened a lot with other things too. Like just in planning and being there. working through scenarios like the gross water thing where we did the dirty carry. That was actually I thought it was like entertaining and funny how we got to that. So just like these 3 different women's skill sets that were brought together to be able to do this really cool adventure. And then like you said, we made it that far and we still want to go back and do the rest together. Like, we want to continue. So that's good.
You want to get to that question? I think it's kind of funny, or could be funny. Let's hope.
You referring to this one here?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, question from Jean in the chat room. They ask, can we hear the best joke of the trip?
I'm sure there's plenty of conversations. Was there a great joke that someone told on the trip? And it's fine if there's no jokes.
Jenny's good.
I mean, you know, we weren't like, hey, did you hear this one? But we were like, I mean, I do like a good joke. But I think at one point when we were just kind of over walking through this hot section, we just were like, okay, who would you rather see naked? Like, this race director or this runner? Like this, who's the hottest ultra runner? If you could only shave one area on your body and the rest of your body has to grow out, what area would you pick? Just like all these kind of random things.
Yeah.
I don't have to dig any deeper. I think that's what happens on the trail stays on the trail. The topics of conversations are your own. Do you feel the 3 of you like grew closer? I imagine the answer is of course yes, but
Yeah.
does this confirm like friendships and just humanity and like people being together in these distant, intimate adventures being like special to just being a human? Like, is this an important thing, do you think?
You know, I think anytime that you're out in the mountains doing an experience, you know, an adventure or putting yourself in a vulnerable situation, it is bonding. Whether you're on a trail or you're up in the mountains or you're somewhere remote in a foreign country, doing something that you feel really vulnerable and exposed, I think it is really bonding. And I would say we definitely are closer bonded from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, we were for sure, no exaggeration, 20 years older than everybody else. And people were like, oh, you guys, like, you're how, somebody said to Krissy, like, you're what? You're 44? Like, I'm going to stick with through hiking. Like, just, you know, because I think to see like older women out there, somebody was like, you have kids? I was like, thank you. Because I feel like all the time I just like read like, oh, you're a mom. I have like mom vibes. So to hear somebody be like, oh, you have kids, it felt really freeing and just amazing to be out there with friends again and like not just like kind of remembering like who I am and what I like to do. And it was great. These guys were the best.
I am so thankful to know all 3 of you. Kim and I often talk about the 3 of you, whether or not you know this, but
and it was really fun to follow the adventure the whole time too.
I want to give all 3 of you an opportunity to sort of mention, of course, social and where people can find you and follow you. But if I don't know if any of you have done this yet, but if there's a way for the Instagram stories to be stored in one of those reels or something that people can click and kind of watch, if that's a possibility, they are amazing. Like, it's just fun to follow what the adventure turned out to be. But I do want to give you all 3 an opportunity to sort of mention, like, where can people find you, follow you, and continue to see what these adventures might be in the future. Krissy, let's start with you.
Oh, I always say, if you can spell my name, you can find me. And I did create a AZT highlight. So one of those little bubbles on the top of Instagram. And every story that we tagged each other in or whatever, Jenny showed me how on trail, still learning. Make sure all those are selected. And my intention is to add on to it when we go back so that it'll just continue to grow. I do like the 4-part thing. So this is part 1, and then we'll have part 2, 3, and 4. Yeah,
That's
and then
so
my
awesome.
website, KrissyMoehl.com. And I have to do the plug. My 2nd book just released. So that's another option for people to find me.
It's off camera, but Krissy's book is on my review set. If you watch any of my reviews, you'll see her book in the background. That's how important this book is. I appreciate you, Krissy. Kathleen Egan, where can people find you and follow your amazing adventures? Because you're doing through hikes, I feel like regularly, and some pretty amazing adventures.
And also Kathleen just crushed the Chirico 10-peat as well.
Yeah, shout out to Kathleen for
She's
crushing the
badass.
Chirico
She's
10
the most badass
Thank you.
out there.
Oh, no.
Yes.
So I am definitely the dinosaur of the group. I'm low tech. I don't do a ton of posting, but maybe I should get better about that, because I do feel like we do get out and do a lot of fun adventures and just lazy about posting. But you can find me on Instagram, Kathleen_Egan. And then I do post on Facebook too, Kathleen Egan.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I like that you started posting a little bit more after our trip. She's a regular user now, guys. But
Learning from you, you guys. And I do have a reel, but I'm really proud
nice.
that I figured out how to make a reel, but mostly sharing what Jenny and Krissy posted. So I just said share. So I kept it pretty simple. But I'll try to get better.
But yeah, I'm excited that you're posting more, because I know you get up to some just amazing adventures across the world and country, and so I'm excited to see what you get up to. And just FYI, Krissy, I believe is doing she has like home people working on her home right now, so I think she had to turn the camera and mic off. She will come back in the after show. But Jenny, I'll give you a chance as well. Where can people find you?
well, I'm going to give Kathleen more of a plug, because she was really training for Bigfoot 200. She's got the most experience out of all of us, and any through hikes, every triathlons, ultras, she's done it all. And she was always ahead of us. She was always the one pushing the pace. We're like, God, Kathleen, tone it down a little bit. It's just like, 19-year-old kids like couldn't keep up with us. And it was, they're like, damn, you have a big goal for today. I'm like, it's Kathleen, dude, don't talk to me. Kathleen she's moving out there. It's awesome. And it's so inspiring to see, because she does a lot. And anytime we met anybody from South Africa, anywhere, she's like, oh yeah, I've been there. Oh yeah. She like knows the streets, and people are like, whoa. She's so well traveled and just a total adventure at heart. So do follow her and be inspired like I am. And me, I am mostly just on Instagram at Jurek's on the Run. I also do have a book. Ethan, you better have my book up
I don't
there
have
that
it.
It's in the house.
Oh, it's because it's in the house.
It's in our house.
It's actually in our house on our
Okay.
bookshelf.
Oh, okay.
You got the best spot, Jenny. I'm sorry, Krissy.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I did also co-write a book called North, and that's about a different through hike adventure on the Appalachian Trail. But just Instagram mostly. And I have a little YouTube channel, Jurek's on the Run, also, where I post like little family adventure videos. I have two, but
We
Going.
appreciate. Go ahead. Sorry, Jenny.
no, that's all.
We appreciate all three of you. And when I sent out the message to the three of you, like asking if you wanted to come chat about the AZT, you all three jumped at the chance, and I could not have gotten more excited, because the three of you have been an inspiration to Kim and I for years. Krissy, I know you've been on the show before. Jenny, you've been on the show before. Kathleen, I believe this might be your first time on the show.
This is the first. Thank you.
But we have been fans of all three of yours since we started in Ultra, and since the names Jenny, Kathleen, and Krissy are mentioned. We love the Northwest, and you all three have such an extensive resume that this is a really cool opportunity to chat with the three of you. We can't wait to see.
Oh.
Go ahead.
That goes way, Ethan, because we were also one of the chats on the trail was, when are we going to be on Ginger Live?
Do you think we'll be on Ginger Runner? Seriously, that was like a goal. Like, hey, maybe we'll be on Ginger Runner.
Well,
Did that come up like right around like the body shaving conversation as well?
what body part are we going to shave and talk to Ethan and Kim about on the show? I'm like, I don't know if we need to go that far. Well, I appreciate that. And Kim and I we're probably going to gush and blush after the show here. We're huge fans. But yes, if another adventure happens, which it sounds like it's going to, if this is a section hike of the future through hike, we would love to have you three back to talk about that adventure, because I think, as I mentioned at the top, what a cool way to encounter just beautiful terrain rather than taking it all in one giant bite. Why not take it off in smaller sections and get to enjoy it with your friends in sections like on vacation almost? It sounds awesome. Sounds awesome.
And the other thing is we get 2 seasons this way. So we get to see it in the spring and the fall. I love that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
We are so fortunate to know the three of you. We thank you for being on the show tonight. GR crew and our live viewers, stay tuned for our after show. We're going to move right into our after show. I feel like we're going to talk about gear, right? Because you have a bunch of questions pulled aside
a few
here
questions here. Yep.
about like gear specifics. So I think we're going to get into that. So once again, our guests tonight have been Jenny Jurek, Kathleen Egan, and Krissy Moehl. They are 3 badass adventurers. We're so excited that they joined us on the show tonight, chatting about the section hike of the first 202 miles of the AZT. We're going to move right into our after show with these 3 wonderful adventurers. If you would like to join us, all you got to do is head on over to patreon.com/thegingerrunner. All tiers get access to our after show. So that's pretty much it. Am I forgetting anything?
GR crew member of the week.
Yes. At the end of every episode of Ginger Runner Live, we like to recognize members of the community that go above and beyond. We call it our GR crew member of the week. Kim, who is this week's GR crew member?
This week's GR crew member of the week likely currently is not listening, but I want to give Deb Hamberlin a special shout out. Deb is currently out on the Cocodona 250 course, crushing it. I believe she is somewhere like over 80-ish miles at this point.
Near 100-ish miles, already done through one night. She's moving incredibly well. If you're watching the live stream or you're watching any live trackers, Deb is crushing it. Pretty amazing to see.
Yeah, she's incredible. We're wishing you all the best of luck, Deb, and we can't wait to hear all your stories.
Thank you, GR crew, and congratulations, Deb, on being our GR crew member of the week. We appreciate you all so much. A reminder that next week we will not have Ginger Runner Live because it is Tiger Claw week. Our in-person Tiger Claw race, 25-mile and 50-mile event, is taking place on May 14th. Next week is spoken for, so no Ginger Runner Live. I believe 2 of our 3 guests tonight might be present at this race, which is going to be pretty cool. You'll have to come and see who. It's
me.
It's just me and Kim. But we're very excited about next week. So there will be no Ginger Runner Live. We will be doing our daily live stream, Daily Brew, over the course of the next couple weeks, though. So again, go to Patreon. We appreciate you all. Have a great rest of your evening. Thank you for tuning in. Get out there, train hard, race harder, and party the hardest.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Bye.
Ginger Runner.